Hello, welcome back to class. This is Module 2, Level 3, and this is Part B of our class on how to draft the pattern for this midi basque waistline corset dress with illusion neckline and long sleeves. However, before we proceed, I wanted to remind you again that this class is a snippet from our advanced online corset masterclass. So to purchase the full course, please follow the seller link in the description box or send a WhatsApp message to the number on the flyer. So on to our class for today. Two major terminologies that you need to note are the armhole dent and the bust dent. So the armhole dent is usually 1.5 inches, while the bust dent is bust circumference minus underbust circumference divided by 4. So your armhole dent is marked at this 3/8 inches. Can you remember that point halfway through your armhole that we went in by 3/8 inches? That is where you mark your bust dent. So your bust dent is essentially a dot. So I'm using a curved line to connect my bust span line to that 3/8 inches point that we marked. Can you see that? So I'm just using a curved line to connect to that point. Can you see I've connected to that point? And then from that 3/8 inches now, I went in by 1.5 inches. Can you see? That's what you can see me marking right now. And then I'm going to create another curved line from that same bust span and then connect it. So essentially, this is a princess dart, armhole princess dart. So I've connected it back to that 1.5. Do you understand? So that way we've created a dart. So the next thing now is to mark our bust dent. Sorry, the first one we're talking about is the armhole dent. So your bust dent is your bust circumference minus under bust divided by 4. So if your bust is 36 and your under bust is 28, 36 minus 28, that's 8 inches divided by 4, that's 2 inches. So from that bust span line, measure 2 inches. And then on this other side, measure 0.25 inches. Can you see? That's what you saw me measuring and connecting back to the bust points. Can you see that? So now we're measuring that line from the bust point to the underbust and then measuring the other curved line because we're going to be joining both panels. So you mark where the excess is. Can you see that? So we've essentially raised the underbust line at this other side. Can you see? Because we're going to be joining both panels together, so they have to be equal. So measure what you have on top also from your bust point to that armhole dent. Can you see that? So that's about, I think that's like 6 inches. Measure, mark that same, where that same 6 inches stops. Can you see where it stops? On the armhole, and then connect that back to your side seam. Can you see that? Connect that back to your side seam line. Oh, so sorry, so it was 6.75. Do you understand? And then on the other side, you must have the same 6.75 because we're going to be joining both panels together. So this is where the arm side is going to be. So now I'm creating my side darts. I just went down from my bust point line by 1 inch and connected that to my bust point. Can you see? So these are all darts. These are all darts. If you watch the first part, you understand how we came about all of this darts. So these are all darts that I have shaded. So the next thing now is to go ahead and work on the yoke area. So you can see me measuring 1.5 inches. This is my on my under bust line from the center front. Can you see that? And I'm going to go ahead and connect that to that princess dart point. Can you see? So from my under bust, I'm taking it up to my bust point line, and then I'm going to now curve it to my princess dart line. Do you understand? So this is going to be the yoke of my dress. Can you see that? That's the yoke of the dress. That's going to be made with skin mesh. Do you understand that? So this is my yoke, and I'm just going ahead to label that. And then all these other portions will be done with the lace and lined with lycra or satin or whatsoever. So this is my back pattern. So I've drawn out my center back line, and this is me drawing out my shoulder box for my back. Can you see that? And then I'm drawing out my shoulder slant, which is the same 3/4 inches. And I'm going to go ahead and connect that to my center back line. Can you see that? So the next thing that you see me measuring is my vertical measurements for my back, my shoulder to bust point, shoulder to underbust, shoulder to my where the seam at the back waist will be. So the seam at the back waist will stop where the one for the front is, and the same at the back waist would be straight. However, bear in mind that the back shoulder to back waist is shorter than the shoulder to front, hence that side that we put in front. Do you understand? So that side that was 1 inch, meaning that we're going to our back waist, shoulder to back waist is 1 inch shorter than our shoulder to front um waist. So that's why you can see that line. You can actually see that it is shorter. Can you see that? So this is from there. I'm going to now measure out what my bust span should be. My bust span is 4 inches. So that's that line that you can see me drawing from the bust point to where my waistline seam would be at the back. So after that, I'll go ahead to impute my dart. The dart at my back is 1 inch on both sides of that bust span line. That's my center back, by the way. And then let me first impute my skirt marking. So you would notice that my skirt, the whole length of my dress for the back is going to be 1 inch shorter than my front, which is fine. If you actually check even the hip line, you know, and all of that, you would actually see that it is shorter, 1 inch shorter than that of my front. Do you understand that? However, that's because of the 1 inch side dart that we had. It's actually because the back waist is shorter than the front waist. So can you see it's actually 1 inch shorter? See, my hip line too is 1 inch shorter. Can you see that? So it's fine this way, and everything is still balanced out after we have imputed that side dart in front. So I'm measuring my hip line, and then I'm going ahead to mark my knee. Remember to pencil it the same way that you pencil the front. And then I'll connect this to my hip line and then to my waistline. So I'll connect that to my waistline. So my waistline, definitely you would notice that there would also be no dart on the skirt portion of my dress at the back. Do you understand? So I'll just mark out that same 7 inches at the waistline. But here is me marking out my dart, which is 3/4 inches on both sides of that bust span line. Can you see that? And I'm just going to go ahead and draw that out and then connect that back to my bust point line. Can you see that? So you can also decide to create more panels. Do you understand? But I just want just one panel. So this is why I've just used one. I have just one dart at the back. So can you say I have just two panels? Sorry, you can create more darts, you know, have 3 or 4 panels, but two is fine for me. So I'm just imputing my side seam and go ahead to do the same waist snatching technique at the back. So to do that, you can see on that under bust line, I'm going to mark 1 inch at the side seam and then 1 inch at the center back. Do you understand? So I'm snatching the waist. I'm also imputing a zip dart. Do you understand? At the center back. So that's what you saw me marking, and then measure on that waist seam line. I've measured 1 inch at the zip dart area and then 1 inch at the side seam area. So this is me reconnecting. So this first diagonal line I drew is my zip dart, and then this one is my side seam. Can you see that? So this is my side seam. So I'm trying to mark it at the exact point where that waist snatching thing is going to be. Can you see that? So mark it to be at that exact point where it is in front, so that when you're sewing the side seam, it would align properly. Can you see that? So this is what it is going to look like. So can you see we have that 6 inches that we should um, actually have at the waistline. So this is me imputing my skirt measurement. I've used 7 because I don't want any dart on the back part of my skirt, the skirt part of my dress. So this is essentially what the pattern looks like. You can go ahead and draw out your armhole. So I'm shading my dart area, and then I'm going to go ahead and draw my neckline. So for the back, I use 3 inches neckline depth and then 4 inches neckline width. Can you see that? And then remember that it has this kind of keyhole thingy at the back, so I'll just go ahead and you can make yours wider, you can make yours depending on what you want. And then if you want, if you're going to have a zip at the back, then you can leave it this way. But if you want corset loops, then reduce that center back by 2 inches. Do you understand that? So you can make it as wide as this, and then I'm going ahead to cut out my pattern. Please watch what I'm going to do with my front pattern. Can you see I've cut out from that under bust? Can you see that? And then I'm cutting out all of my darts. I've labeled my panels 1, 2, 3. I'll cut out the darts, and then I'll tape them back together. Do you understand? So in taping them back together like this, it means that when you're cutting out on your fabric, you can just cut out one piece like this. Do you understand? Instead of having panels in front. Do you understand that? However, you can also decide to cut it as 3 different panels. Do you understand? But a lot of times, if you cut it out like this as a whole, it gives you the opportunity to design with boning whatsoever form of design you want to do. So I'm cutting out the yoke area. Can you see that? Cutting out the armhole, cutting out the neckline and the shoulder slant. This is the front. And then I'm going to proceed to do, so watch what I'm going to do here. I'm cutting out my side dart. Can you see that? And I'm going to tape that up. Can you see? So I've closed that side dart. Can you see that? So close up your side dart and then continue cutting. So this is that middle panel, and then this is going to be my side seam panel. Can you see that? See what I have done? And then my skirt pattern, I'll just cut the hem, cut it all the way. So this is my skirt pattern. It's going to be cut on fold. And then this is my back pattern, which is not going to be cut on fold, my back skirt pattern. So this is what it looks like. And then for the back, I'll just go ahead and cut out the darts. Cut out the side seam, the darts, and then cut out the yoke portion of the back. So this is basically what the pattern looks like. Can you see that? So you can go ahead and have that slanted effect for your yoke. Can you see that? So I've cut out my side seam, my armhole, my shoulder slants for the back. You can cut it out straight, or you can follow that slanted thing that I did. Cut out my center back. Can you see that? I've labeled my pattern pieces so I don't get confused. So make sure you do that. So I'm cutting out the darts too. Ensure that you label the top too so that you don't get confused and turn it upside down. So this is my yoke for the back. Can you see that? So this is just basically what this pattern drafting process was about. And then I'm going to go ahead and pin up all the pattern pieces together so you see what it looks like. So essentially, we've used a combination of underbust corset pattern drafting method and princess dart method to create this outfit. Do you understand that? So there are times that in creating corset dresses, that is the method that you would have to use because of the way the cup area of the dress is shaped. So these are my pattern pieces. I'm just labeling them together. This is my back. Can you see that? So you can cut your back as separate pieces, or you can choose to cut them as a tape your pattern pieces together and cut them as a whole. And this is what my front pattern looks like. Do you understand? We're going to be doing a lot more of this sort of, and then you can go ahead and design your boning lines. Can you see that? Shape it whichever way after taping your pattern pieces together. So you can tape them together, place your boning, insert your boning, and then now lay your lace on top of it. Do you understand? So your lace wouldn't even be cut at all. We're going to be doing all these sorts of things in our upcoming class. I would announce that class shortly. So if you want to be part of that class, please ensure that you're subscribed to this channel so when I make the announcement, you would know about it. So when cutting out on fabric, your major seams, that's your side seam and your hem, you use 1 to 1.5 inches, you understand? And then for all of these other mid seams, just smaller seams, you can use 0.5, between 3/8 inches to 0.5 inches as your seam allowance. You understand? There's no form of allowance on this pattern. Bear that in mind. So this is what it looks like, and I hope you found this useful. Please ensure that you subscribe to this channel if you aren't. And if you found this video helpful, please ensure that you give this video a like. Thanks for watching, guys. Ciao.